Here in the studio. So it does look very much like a military operation by Turkey is imminent on Afrin and Manbij. What is Turkey's goal here? What would constitute a successful outcome of this operation?
I think first and foremost they want to clear the border area of what Turkey calls terrorists. There's a clear link between the PKK, which is a global terrorist organization, and the YPG. It's a direct threat to Turkish national security. So they don't want on their border thousands of armed fighters that pose a threat to Turkey. And at the same time they have vital interests with the Turkmen population and the Arab population that the Turkey as a government has supported, so they want to help them.
So there's no telling right now how long such an operation would be, or indeed what it will mean to all the efforts ongoing to try and end the fighting inside Syria.
Absolutely. I think this is the United States trying to draw a wedge in the de-escalation zone, where Turkey, Russia and Iran, after months and months of negotiations, had come to the conclusion to work together, and the war, one could have argued, is coming to an end. However, this action by the United States endangers the peace process, because Turkey and Russia both are on the same page here, as are Iran. YPG is a group they do not want to work with when it comes to the end game. So they're divergent views as far as Turkey and the US go.
And this has been long been an issue between the two sides, right from when the US was saying that it was going to arm the YPG and train them because it sees them as key in this battle against Daesh. This issue has never been resolved between the two NATO allies.
Absolutely. It's not bolt out of the blue. The Turkish governments and the military have been telling the Americans and the Europeans for more than a year about this problem. And when Raqqa fell, we saw that YPG and the SDF, they were heavy-handed against the local population. Indeed, there were terrorist flags flying in Raqqa with the face of Öcalan. So it's going to cause severe ruptures in the relationship, which has already had a downside over the last year, and it doesn't help in the conflict resolution for Syria.
I mean, what do you make of this US-led plan for this security force stretched along the border in northern Syria, which is going to include fighters from the YPG, which the US says is necessary to consolidate its victory over Daesh?
Well, the interesting thing here is that the US didn't really have many cards to play, and the victory over Daesh, one could argue, is more thanks to the Turkish military, the Russians and the Iranians' cooperation rather than the Americans. So as far as trying to use this against Daesh, the facts don't add up. In fact, if anything, it'll create more friction, because we've seen the YPG, they've gone against local Arab villages and Turkmen. So if anything, there's well-documented facts of what the YPG are doing hasn't been too different to what Daesh are doing. So it doesn't look good, however we look at it, because as far as the US goes, they need to be present in Syria, and the only way they can see themselves as being relevant is by supporting the YPG, which is going to upset not just the Turkish government, but also Russia and Iran, which are the other guarantors of the de-escalation zone.
So briefly, is this going to be a similar operation to Euphrates Shield, which of course ended last year, and the Turkish government said successfully so?
I think it's still early to tell. Yes, there are some similarities. They want to clear and hold the areas. But if the US are going to arm thousands of fighters, as they've announced, they already have been arming them, but they're going to support them with embedded US forces. So it could be a messier fight, because here you might potentially have Turkish troops and US troops backing different proxies right at the barrel of the same gun.
Interesting stuff. Thank you very much indeed for your analysis there, Kamal Alam from RUSI. Now, Russian aircraft have bombed